Hey everybody, I'm back for another quick Q&A video this week. Currently in Charlottetown, PEI, which is the capital of the island. It's so different than in Ontario. Everything's so close together. We flew into Charlottetown here. We're staying kind of further up northwest on the island. It's only a half an hour between here and there. Anyway, I'm here because I got to pick up another grocery order, which I already have, and a great excuse for a nice little drive, and everybody else was just happy to stay around, so I got a little bit of peace and quiet, which is actually kind of nice too. Now, the day we got here, the weather was perfect. That's when I filmed the video. Yesterday and then so far today, it's been pouring rain, but the great thing about PEI is it's still pretty even when it rains. I give a quick shout out to Todd McLeod. Thank you for your comment, Todd. He's from out here too and gave me a couple nice recommendations. I don't think we'll get to Basin Head because that's pretty far away from where we are. We're closer to Cavendish Beach, so we're going to give that a try, but we are definitely going to get a New Glasgow lobster supper. I was wanting to give everybody a nice lobster dinner out here and wasn't sure where the best place was, so we're going to be going there. Thank you very much, Todd. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm sure we'll love it. So thank you guys for watching the video the other day. It's so funny, the internet at our place, 1 megabit per second. It's DSL, 1 megabit per second. One of us can watch Netflix or YouTube on decent resolution at once. That's it. We're 6 people. So they said it had high-speed internet, but we're pretty remote. I get it, and believe me, I'm really not complaining. It was shockingly bad to the point where I had to use my phone to upload that video. Otherwise, it was going to take like 16 hours or something. Anyway, thank you for watching this, guys, and I'm going to answer a couple questions I've got since the last video. And I appreciate you watching these. This is really fun for me, and I'm enjoying my time away, but I miss work. I always do, and this is a particularly fun part of my work, so I'm glad to get to do some of it out here. Saingland, sorry if I got that wrong. I could probably get most of these wrong. Thanks for working for us on your vacation. Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you. 2 questions. What source do you use for keeping track of worldwide market hours, open and closes, and holidays? For that, like as far as the market hours go, I kind of just know that in my head. You just have to update it. It's a little bit tricky whenever the daylight savings time comes, and the British summertime or British Standard versus GMT, because they changed that's their daylight savings changes a different time than ours now. So when it gets close to that time of year, I just kind of Google it and look it up and then figure, just so I know when the London Open is going to be and when the London Close is going to be. As far as holidays go, Financial Juice has those on it, and Forex Factory also has that, forexfactory.com/calendar. They have, anytime there's a bank holiday in like North America or Europe, it's always listed on there. So that's a quick and easy way to find that. And that's part of my normal morning routine, is to scan those 2 places for news announcements and holidays, etc. Number 2, you mentioned before you don't often use the DOM price ladder, mainly just look at the 4,000 tick chart. Any things you'd like, dislike in particular about the DOM? Well, I do have the DOM open. I look at the DOM. I just don't click on the ladder when I'm placing my orders. I usually, 99% of the time, either, just click one of the buy or sell buttons. On Sierra Chart, they have like a buy market, and they also have a buy bid, buy ask, sell bid, sell ask, if you want to try and get if you want to, get 1 tick better if price is sitting flat. So I prefer to use those rather than clicking on the actual ladder itself. I do have the ladder open all the time, and I do actively look at the orders on all the levels. So it's not that I don't use that and it's not part of my trading. I just don't click on the ladder on the 2 sides. I prefer to click the buy sell buttons. So hopefully that helps. Comment on one of my old videos, FZen2432, camera conspiracies equals excellent distraction. Yes, that's a great way to kind of go down a rabbit hole of about 3 or 4 hours. I always enjoy watching his stuff. Eric Myers asked, is that Bollinger Bands on your chart? He says, I'm new. They're not Bollinger Bands, they are Keltner channels. I'll just mention also, 4,000 tick chart, guys, I get that question all the time. I don't mind getting that question, but just in case you're catching this and you haven't watched that many of my videos, the chart that I execute on is a 4,000 tick chart. I should probably put like a heading on the front of every video that says 4,000 tick chart. Nick Mancini, nice to hear from you, Nick. Good to see you're having a nice vacation. Curious how you use the quote board before and during a trade. I don't recall you speaking much about it in your trade videos, but you mentioned it often in Q&As. Yes. I should maybe look at, well, of course, I have such limited screen real estate on my video, and it's already kind of scrunched in there. But I have the quote board, like where I'm looking at my chart on my screen. My main Sierra chart is right here. The quote board is right above it. It's a smaller window, but it's right above it. So a lot of the time I just look at that, and I'm not getting any crazy, information off there. I'm just looking at the numbers. And I could really just as easily look at the chart, and I often do look at the chart, but I like the quote board just because I've got all my indexes side by side right there, and I just literally watch the numbers go up and down. And I can see, is it one tick up and then back down? Is it two ticks up and then back one? And so on. You can see that on the chart too. It's just something that I've started doing it quite a while ago, and I really like just looking at all the numbers in the chart. I can very quickly scan even more things in the same amount of time looking at the numbers on a quote board than I can looking at all the individual charts. So I spend a lot of time just looking at that, watching the price. It's no real big secret from there. It's just, it's kind of the most condensed amount of information you can get in the smallest area. So that's why I like it. Enjoy Truth gives us a nice piece of information here. It says Edge Clear allows you to set a max daily loss and a max position loss, which also works with Quantower. One of the very few that will auto-liquidate your positions when you hit your max loss and not let you trade again that day. This makes catastrophic loss days impossible. Inviable when not working at a prop shop, but alone, just you and your feelings. Yes, very good point. Enjoy Truth. Yeah, and so that's good to know. Edge Clear is one that can do that. So yeah, that's an invaluable tool for sure. I don't know how many brokers do that. Edge Clear is one though, so that's very important. Also, Jim, he wrote back here also, and he mentioned, I believe he's on NinjaTrader, and he has a hard stop set with his broker, which I believe would be NinjaTrader, that he's out after -10 on the day, and then he can't trade again that day. So I would, I can't not recommend doing that. If your broker allows that, that's one way to completely eliminate catastrophic loss days. You should be able to do it yourself, and ideally, eventually you will be able to, but that's an extra fail-safe in my own personal experience and in having talked to tons of you guys. You will take the odd day at -10 that you could have come back from, but you'll miss out on every one of those -20, -30, -50 days, -100 days. It will keep your account intact. And that's what's most important, is you can't trade if you don't have capital. Capital preservation is number one. If you can implement a hard and fast rule like that to kind of override your lizard brain, by all means do it. This car's got that stupid start-stop thing on it, where when you come to a stoplight, the engine shuts off and your air conditioning dies. You can't tell me that the starter's not going to fail more prematurely on these cars. Fortunately, there is a button. I just forgot to press it this time. There. Another thing that's just wrong about this car, and any Chrysler in this generation, is this darn gear shift dial. That's not right. Mercedes was pushing it with their little, thing like this where you shift. It's just a pretend shifter. But at least it's more like a gear shift. I prefer a column shift. It leaves the console area free, but I'll take a floor shifter. Just give me an actual gear shift with a mechanical connection to the transmission. Speaking of which, the transmission in this car is just awful. It's got a beautiful ride. It's comfortable for everybody except for, a tall driver like myself. It's not a bad car. I don't know how many speeds there are in this transmission, but it's too many. It never knows what gear it wants to be in. It's always hunting. We're on the Trans-Canada Highway right now, heading back towards our place from Charlottetown. Trans-Canada in Ontario is number 17. Out here in the East in general, it's number 2. It's rainy and foggy and all that, and it's still pretty. I don't know, the greens just seem greener. The reds are much redder. It's just very pretty out here. Much like rural Ontario, there's a whole bunch of little churches all over the place with cemeteries attached to them. There's no place out here that's big. Everything's small. Even the capital's only about 30,000 people. It's actually really nice. Now, I thought we had a lot of farms around home, but out here it's pretty much all farms. They're absolutely everywhere. It's really nice. And another thing, I've yet to see a brick or stucco house, and I've been looking for them. I've yet to see one on this entire island so far. Everything is wood frame with vinyl siding or wood siding. Bridging Science and Spirit made a good point about backtesting. I wanted to make sure that I clarify my position on backtesting. The typical backtesting of going back and optimizing and over-optimizing is not something I find helpful for discretionary traders like myself. However, what he mentions is exactly what it's good for. Going back and finding the patterns, support and resistance levels and stuff that work, and then looking over all that, identifying those things, and then using them in the future. And that kind of thing works. And it has worked for a long time, and as far as I'm concerned, as long as there's an auction style market, it will continue to work. The same tricks, the same patterns, the same trading methodologies that worked 15 years ago whenever I got started at this, they work now. They worked 40 years ago before there was even electronic trading. Electronic trading has just allowed you to transfer those things to smaller time frames. Crazy Head writes with an interesting question. I'll summarize it in that he's tried some demo accounts with prop firms and seems to continually just do the evaluation or whatever, and it doesn't work out. But it's such a small commitment of capital that he can come back. He said, I can work like one day and make the money back that it costs me to do another evaluation or another demo account, whatever. So he doesn't put a whole lot of weight on it. He's sort of stuck in that routine. It's like, well, we blow up, I'll just, I can trade a day of my work essentially, or whatever amount of hours, and try it again. And he says he's stuck in this mentality where it's not taking it seriously, I guess. That's an interesting position to be in. We're in a cycle here that's sort of like playing the lottery, it sounds like. You just buy a ticket, it costs a little bit, not very much. Maybe you win, maybe you don't, but it's kind of a throwaway thing, and there's no real investment of time or commitment into it, right? So I would say you got to break that cycle for sure. But how can we best do that? I would, you do what works for you, but if it were me, I would just stop doing those and see if you can dedicate yourself to trading a demo account, but actually try and be serious about it. You can go to some live money in a small account, and then you'll feel the sting maybe more if that happens, but I don't think you really need to go through that pain, at least until you try a proper round of demo trading first. So I would demo trade with the same trade plan, the same rules, the same times of day. Try it for a month and see what happens. But make sure that you implement those rules and seriously follow the rules like it were real money. You need to be able to treat a demo account like real money, because if you don't, whenever you get to real money, everything is changed and it's too hard to adjust. You can get profitable in demo trading one way, and then you go to real money and you don't trade the same way, you don't take the same risk, or you make your stops tighter or whatever. It just suddenly doesn't work because you've changed something. You don't want to change anything except for just that, the account, right? So I would go to a demo account, trade it very seriously for a month. No resetting, no nothing like that. Try trading it seriously for a month. It will cost you nothing, and see how you do at the end of that. Try that first, and you're not bound by the rules of the prop firm or whatever. You're bound by your own rules, and you may find that you want to change your own rules to something that suits you better that maybe isn't in their parameters. Try that for a month or maybe a couple of months and see how you do. It's not going to cost you anything, and hopefully it will break you out of that cycle. But I would say don't allow yourself to ever trade live money or another evaluation account until you've proven to yourself that you can be profitable for a couple of months, at least 1 month, but ideally 2 months in a row consecutively in demo. And if you can do that, it will show you that it's possible, and it will give you a little bit of confidence to put towards the next evaluation or live money. I'm not, sometimes, of course, the prop thing makes perfect sense, and I've discovered, as mentioned in my last video, sometimes whenever that would make more sense than trying to trade your own money. But if you're in a position where you can trade your own money, I would stick to that. And that way you're bound by your own rules and you're able to trade whatever way suits you best. I would give it a try and demo for 1 month to start with and just see how it goes. And the incentive for you to not misbehave and to do well is that you're not allowed to trade live or to do another evaluation until you've proven to yourself in demo that you can be profitable. That may take a month, it might take 2-3 months. What's it matter? It doesn't matter how long it takes. It might take 6 months. If you get there to the point where you're profitable, you can transfer that from 1 micro in demo to 1 micro in live to 1 mini to 5 minis to 10 minis to whatever you want. If you go up slowly enough and you let your capital build and you keep your risk low, the sky is really the limit that way. You can certainly make as much money as you're ever going to need as an individual person. The key is getting that skill, that psychology, and the consistency down. And you start with that on a micro in demo and work up from there. And just like that, it's beautiful out. Goes from rain to sunshine and dries up in no time. Sure is a beautiful spot. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Keep your questions and comments coming. Grab my cheat sheet newsletter at daytradernextdoor.com. Have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.